Sir Dexen said so. He said that Marquis Caenis is still trying to infiltrate his people into the capital's defense zone. So he told us to leave him alone. Doesn't that mean his uprising is not far away? Yes, I think so too. No matter how strong the trap built in the residence of the Duke of Weishafen, it would be in vain if Byron did not enter the capital. So, shouldn't we leave room for him to fall into the trap? Hiram, who had smiled happily the entire time, now smiled bitterly as he thought that the day was approaching when he would catch the brother who had tried to harm his father and himself. Roderick didn't bother to ask why. Even if he had committed a heinous crime, Byron was still Hiram's brother. Capturing someone like that couldn't be all joy. I'm craving a drink. Would you like to have something today? At Hiram's suggestion, Roderick could not coldly refuse and simply rolled his eyes in discomfort. She wanted to refuse, since she had a hard time holding back around Hiram lately, but she knew how he felt, so it was hard for her to cut him off cold turkey. Seeing Roderick like this, Hiram laughed heartily. Just kidding, just kidding. You don't have to be so embarrassed. You were joking. How lucky. Roderick smiled and responded playfully. Hiram growled sadly at her response. What is that reaction about? I feel hurt too. Haha, I was just joking. Hiram stared at Roderick's joke, which he didn't usually joke with wide eyes, as if it were something strange. Hiram, who had been laughing and joking for a while, opened his mouth with a serious expression. By the way, I have something to confess to you. What is happening, Your Majesty? Speak, please. He hesitated, not knowing what he was going to say, and simply slammed his hand on the cup. Is it difficult to say? Well, it's true. The plan is about to end, and I thought it wouldn't be right to keep hiding it from Winnie, so I told her. What he meant was that he had told Winfred about Isla's affair and Byron's actions. He thought it was safe to speak now that the curse had been lifted. So, that guy insisted on seeing your daughter at least once. I told him that the curse had been completely lifted and that he was fine now, but it was absurd that the Crown Prince was unaware of the situation, since it was about capturing a traitor to the Empire, so it was something that had to be known at some point. Roderick, wondering what he was thinking, simply drank his tea in silence despite the Emperor's words. Don't stay silent. Say something. If you like it, say so. If not, say no. When Hiram, unable to bear the frustration, pouted and urged Roderick, Roderick responded with a calm expression. This is not something I can decide alone, so would you mind if I talk about it with my wife and daughter and then tell you? Clear. I was worried that you would reject me outright, but I'm glad you didn't. Hiram nodded, satisfied. Isla's wishes are important. Although I am her father, I can't arbitrarily reject her without hearing her opinion, right? If Isla agrees, let's try to organize a time for the children to get to know each other naturally. Roderick spoke with an indifferent expression that made it difficult to read his thoughts. And then, that night, Roderick, as expected, called Isla to his room. This was possible because she had gotten rid of Laura, who had always been watching her like a leech. Furthermore, he was also tracking and monitoring several people suspected of being Byron's spies, in addition to Laura. Knowing that Laura used the magic dove to communicate with Byron, he asked Candace to use the magic tool detector to see if others used it too, and surprisingly, it worked. He quickly repurposed the technology he had used to track Isla in the Inselkov Kingdom and sent them the detector they requested. With that detector, he picked up several signals of magic tools from the employees' rooms inside the mansion. Although the salaries of the Duke's employees were good, it was not easy for ordinary citizens to own expensive magical tools, so it was certainly a suspicious situation. Even if the tools that the owners of that sign possessed were not related to Byron, there is nothing wrong with being cautious with them. So Isla and her family were able to share their secrets much more easily than before. All they had to do was call Isla to her room and block out any sounds. "So, His Highness the Crown Prince wants to see you. What do you think?" Roderick asked cautiously, and Isla blinked blankly. In fact, he had been waiting for the day to see Winfred. He was the first friend he had ever made, and he had also received a lot of help from him. How much help had she received, even excluding the little help she received when she was embarrassed by her dirty clothes? He agreed to a crazy request to tell his parents a story. Without even telling them who his parents were, and even gave him a magic box so he could hide things without Byron knowing. And again, she was protecting those she so desperately wanted to save. Now that I think about it, I haven't even heard how the couple is doing. Isla had been so busy with the curse and other matters that she hadn't been able to bring herself to see Winfred, but now that those matters were being resolved one by one, she thought it would be nice to see him from time to time. No, actually, I wanted to see it. From the moment Roderick asked him if he wanted to see Winfred, he felt a strange emotion. Glad to hear it. He had a special request for Winfred. "I would like to know and also express my gratitude for all the help you have given me." Isla spoke calmly, trying to calm her shaking voice. He wasn't lying, but he felt strangely that he was deceiving his parents. "Hey, okay. Since you don't mind, I'll try to create a natural opportunity for you to see each other." Roderick nodded with a somewhat resigned voice. A few days later, the meeting between Winfred and Isla was scheduled earlier than expected. The imperial family and the ducal house were meeting for an excursion. It wasn't that strange, since Hiram and Roderick were such good friends and used to hang out together like that before. They lost Isla. Hiram smiled mischievously and went to the Crown Prince's palace to tell his son the good news. "You are here, father." Winfred greeted her father with a strangely apathetic expression. It had been like this for several days. Something serious was happening to Isla, and he didn't know it. He hated his father for hiding it from him and for keeping it to himself, and he also hated himself for living peacefully and alone without even knowing it. How can people be so cruel? Winfred asked, shuddering as she remembered her uncle, whose face she didn't even remember. Thinking about what he had done to Isla, he felt a deep disillusionment with the world. Born as a human, he committed atrocities, worse than those of a beast. He felt as if the faith he had built in humanity throughout his life had been shattered. "Why are you so discouraged, Win? This father has brought encouraging news. What's happening? Please tell me." Winfred reacted skeptically to his father's words, as if he were completely sure of their veracity. He felt like nothing could cheer him up now. "We are going to the countryside with this father this vacation. We can ride horses together, and if the weather is nice, we can play in the water by the lake." "No, I don't want to." Being a father, how could he be so ignorant of his son's temperament? Knowing that Winfred didn't really like being outdoors, he decided to take him for a walk in the hopes of cheering him up. Winfred pursed her lips in pain. "Oh really? Do you really not like it?" What do I do?" "I already made an appointment. I have to send a message to the Duke's family. My son says he doesn't want to, so I'll have to cancel it." "What can I do?" Hiram shrugged and said sarcastically. What did you say? The Duke? Oh, didn't I tell you? The Duke and Duchess of Weishafen and their children were also visiting. I wonder how much Noah has grown. Well, then maybe. Mentioning the Duke of Weishafen, Winfred grabbed her father's arm hurriedly. He wanted to confirm if he could really see Isla. Of course, the princess also decided to come. But, well, since Winnie said she didn't want to. Hiram chuckled and turned around, ready to leave the room at any moment. No, father. I like it. I said I like it. Winfred hugged her father tightly. I knew he was joking, but I was still afraid he might break his promise.